Chapter 50 Stories of Kaka Sahib Dikshit, Sri Tambe Swami, Balaram Durandar. Chapter 50 of the original Satcharitra has been incorporated in Chapter 39 as it dealt with the same subject matter. Now Chapter 51 of the Satcharitra has been treated here as Chapter 50. This chapter gives the stories of Kaka Sahib Dikshit, Sri Tembe Swami and Balaram Durandar. Preliminary. Victory be unto Sai, who is the mainstay of the Bhaktas, who is our Sadguru, who expounds the meaning of the Gita and who gives us all powers. O Sai, look favorably on us and bless us all. The sandalwood trees grow on the Malaya mountains and ward off heat. The clouds pour their rainwater and thereby cool and refresh all the people. The flowers blossom in the spring and enable us to worship God. Therewith, so the stories of Sai Baba came forth in order to give solace and comfort to the readers. Both those who tell and those who hear the stories of Baba are blessed and holy. It is a well-established fact that though we try hundreds of means or sadhanas, we do not attain the spiritual goal of life unless a Sadguru blesses us with His grace. Hear the following story in illustration of this statement. Kaka Sahib Dikshit, 1864 to 1926. Mr. Hari Sitaram alias Kaka Sahib Dikshit was born in 1864 in a Vadnagara Nagar in a Brahmin family at Kundwa, Central Province. His primary education was done at Khandwa, Hingangat, and secondary education at Nagpur. He came to Mumbai for higher education and studied first in the Wilson College and then in the Elphinstone College. After graduation in 1883, he passed his LLB and solicitors examinations and then served in the firm of the government solicitors, Messrs. Little and Company, and then after some time started a solicitors firm of his own. Before 1909, Sri Sai Baba's name was not familiar to Kaka Sahib, but after that he soon became his great devotee. While he was staying at Lonawala, he happened to see his old friend Mr. Nana Sahib Chandorkar. Both spent some time in talking about many things. Kaka Sahib described to him how while he was boarding a train in London, he met with an accident in which his foot slipped and had injured. Hundreds of remedies gave him no relief. Nana Sahib then told him that if he wished to get rid of the pain and lameness of his leg, he should go to the Sadguru Sri Sai Baba. He also gave him all the particulars of Sai Baba and mentioned to him Sai Baba's dictum, I draw to me my man from far off or even across the seven seas like a sparrow with a string fastened to its feet. He also made it clear to him that if he was not Baba's man, he would not be attracted to him and given darshan. Kaka Sahib was pleased to hear all this and said to Nana Sahib that he would go to Baba, see him and pray to him to cure not so much his lame leg, but bring round his lame, fickle mind and give him eternal bliss. Sometime after, Kaka Sahib went to Ahmednagar and stayed with Sridhar Kaka Sahib Mirinkar in connection with securing votes for a seat in the Mumbai Legislative Council. Mr. Bala Sahib Mirinkar, son of Kaka Sahib Mirinkar, who was a Mamaldar of Kopargaon, also came at that time to Ahmednagar in connection with a horse exhibition there. After the election business was over, Kaka Sahib Dikshit wanted to go to Shirdi and both the Mirinkars, father and son, were also thinking about a fit and proper person as a guide, with whom he should be sent there. There Sai Baba was arranging things for his reception. Shama got a telegram from his father-in-law at Ahmednagar stating that his wife was seriously ill and that he would come to see her with his wife. Shama, with Baba's permission, went there and saw his mother-in-law and found her improving and better. Nana Sahib Panse and Appa Sahib Gadre happened to see Shama on their way to the exhibition and they told him to go to Mirkar's house. see Kaka Sahib Dikshit there and take him to Shirdi along with him. Kaka Sahib Dikshit and Mirikar were also informed to Shama's arrival in the evening. Shama came to Mirikar's, who introduced him to Kaka Sahib. They arranged that Shama should leave for Kopargaon with Kaka Sahib by 10 o'clock night train. After this was settled, a curious thing happened. Bala Sahib Mirikar threw aside the veil of covering on Baba's big portrait and showed the same to Kaka Sahib. He was surprised to see that he whom he was going to meet in Shirdi was already there in the room of his portrait, in the form of his portrait to greet him. At this juncture, he was much moved and made his prostrations before the portrait. This portrait belonged to Megha. The glass over it was broken and it was sent to Mirikar's for repairs. The necessary repairs had been already made and it was decided to return the portrait with Kaka Sahib and Shama. Before 10 o'clock, they went to the station and booked their passage. But when the train arrived, they found that the second class was overcrowded and that there was no room for them. Fortunately, the guard of the train turned out to be an acquaintance of Kaka Sahib and he put them in the first class. Thus, they travelled comfortably and alighted at Kopargaon. Their joy knew no bounds when they saw their Nana Sahib Chandorkar, who was also bound for Shirdi. Kaka Sahib and Nana Sahib embraced each other, and then after bathing in the sacred Godavari river, they started for Shirdi. After coming there and getting Baba's darshan, Kaka Sahib's mind was melted, his eyes were full of tears, and he was overflowing with joy. Baba said to him that he was also waiting for him and had sent Shama ahead to receive him. Kaka Sahib then passed many happy years in Baba's company. He built a vada in Shirdi, which he made as his own, more or less the permanent home. The experiences he got from Baba are so manifold that it is not possible to relate them all here. The readers are advised to read a special Kaka Sahib Dikshit number of Sri Sai Leela magazine, volume 12, number 6 to 9. We close this account with the mention of one fact only. Baba had comforted him by saying that in the end he will take him in air coach, Viman, that is, secure him a happy death. This came out true. On the 5th of July 1926, he was travelling in the train with Hemad Pant and talking about Sri Sai Baba. He seemed deeply engrossed in Sai Baba. All of a sudden, he threw his neck on Hemad Pant's shoulder and breathed his last, with no trace of pain or uneasiness. Sri Tembe Swami. We came to the next story, which shows how saints love each other with fraternal affection. Once Sri Vasudevananda Saraswati, known as Sri Tembe Swami, encamped at Rajamandri, Andhra country, on the banks of Godavari. He was devout Orthodox, Dhyani and Yogi Bhakta of the Dattatreya. One, Mr. Pundalik Rao, pleader of Nanded, Nizam state, went to see him with some friends. While they were talking with him, the names of Shirdi and Sai Baba were casually mentioned. Hearing Baba's name, the Swami joined hands with reverence and taking a coconut gave it to Pundalik Rao and said to him, "Offer this to my brother Sai with my pranam and request him not to forget me but ever love me." He also added that Swamis do not generally bow to others, but in this case an exception had to be made. Mr. Pundalika Rao consented to take the coconut and his message to Baba. The Swami was right in calling Baba a brother, for as he maintained an Agnihotra, sacred fire, day and night, in his orthodox fashion, Baba too kept his Agnihotra, that is, Dhuni, ever burning in the masjid. After 1 month, Pundalik Rao and others left for Shirdi with the coconut and reached Manmad. And as they felt thirsty, they went to a rivulet for drinking water. As water should not be drunk on an empty stomach, they took out some refreshment, that is chuda, flattened rice mixed with spice. The chuda tasted much pungent, and in order to soften it, as someone suggested, broke the coconut and mixed its scrapings with it. Thus, they made the chuda more tasty and palatable. Unfortunately, the coconut turned out to be the same that was entrusted to Pundalik Rao. As they neared Shirdi, Pundalikara remembered the trust, that is the coconut, and was very sorry to learn that it was broken and consumed. He came to Shirdi and saw Baba. Baba had already received a wireless message regarding the coconut from Tembe Swami and himself asked Pundalikara first to give the thing sent by his brother. He held fast Baba's feet, confessed his guilt and negligence, repented and asked for Baba's pardon. He offered to give another fruit as a substitute, but Baba refused to accept it, saying that the worth of that coconut was far more than that of an ordinary one, and that it could not be replaced by another. Baba also added, "Now you need not worry yourself any more about that matter. It was an account of my wish that the coconut was entrusted to you and ultimately broken on the way. Why should you take the responsibility of the action on you? Do not entertain the sense of doership in doing good as well as for bad deeds. Be entirely prideless and egoless in all things, and thus your spiritual progress will be rapid." What a beautiful spiritual instruction Baba gave. Balaram Dhurandhar, 1878 to 1925. Mr. Balaram Dhurandhar belonged to the Pathare Prabhu community of Santa Cruz, Mumbai. He was an advocate of the Mumbai High Court and sometime principal of the Government Law College, Mumbai. The whole Dhurandhar family was pious and religious. Mr. Balaram served his community and wrote and published an account of it. He then turned his attention to spiritual and religious matters. He studied Gita carefully and its commentary Gnaneshwari and other philosophical and metaphysical works. He was a devotee of Vithoba of Pandharpur. He came in contact with Sai Baba in 1912. 6 months earlier, his brothers Babuji and Vaman Rao came to Shirdi and took Baba's darshan. They returned home and mentioned their sweet experiences to Balaram and other members. Then they all decided to see Sai Baba. Before they came to Shirdi, Baba declared openly that today many of my Darbar people are coming. The Dhurandhar brothers were astonished to hear this remark of Baba and from others, as they had not given any previous intimation of their trip. All other people prostrated themselves before Baba and sat talking with him. Baba said to them, "These are my Darbar people, whom I referred to before," and said to the Dhurandhar brothers, "We have been with each other for the last 60 generations." All the brothers were gentle and modest. They stood with joined hands looking at Baba's feet. All the sattvic emotions such as tears, choking, etc. moved them and they were all happy. Then they went to their lodging, took their meals and after taking a little rest again came back to Masjid. Balaram sat near Baba massaging his legs. Baba, who was smoking the chilam, advanced it towards him and beckoned him to smoke it. Balaram was not accustomed to smoking, still he accepted the pipe, smoked it with great difficulty and returned it reverentially. This was the most auspicious moment for Balaram. He was suffering from asthma for 6 years. This smoke completely cured him of the disease, which never troubled him again. Some 6 years later, on a particular day, he again got an attack of asthma. This was precisely the time when Baba took his Mahasamadhi. The day of his visit was Thursday, and the Dhurandhar brothers had a good fortune of witnessing the Chowdi procession that night. At the Aarti function in the Chowdi, Balaram saw the glow of Panduranga on Baba's face, and next morning at the Kakda Aarti time, the same phenomenon, the same luster of the beloved deity, Panduranga, was visible again on Baba's face. Mr. Balram Dhurandhar wrote in Marathi the life of the Maharashtra Saint Tukaram, but he did not survive to see its publication. It was published later on by his brother in 1928. In a short note on Balaram's life given in the beginning of that book, the above account of Balaram's visit has been fully corroborated by page 6 of the book. Bow to Sri Sai, peace to be all. To all.